Hi guys, I'm back. So kind of what I wanted to talk about today is we're entering into Christmas and Advent's coming and just thinking about like what brought us all to this point this year and as we finish out this year and get closer to a brand new year, just what that kind of looks like. Like Christmas is a really significant holiday, whether you're in the secular world or whether it is a in the church. And I was going to say religious holiday, but it's really just about the birth of Jesus. But in society, we make it about money. We do. It's very commercialized. I mean, anybody will say that. We start getting Christmas stuff in August. Christmas is a big holiday everybody ramps up for. Businesses hire for it. We pre plan everything. You already plan your food, who's coming, whose turn is it this year to host it. It's a big deal. And I think we tend to forget, the things we are blessed with. It's all about, oh, I got to get that Black Friday deal, or oh, I have to have this, or the kids want this year, or whatever it is. And I guess I just wanted to sit and reflect on this year. And even though it's a little preemptive for me to do this since we're still kind of in November, but really, how are we preparing our spirits and our heart for Christmas? I think it's a different kind of preparation. I've been reading through the Old Testament again, and I'm in Deuteronomy, and which is sounds kind of weird, and I'm going to correlate Deuteronomy to Christmas, but go with me on it. In chapter 8, it talks about the Israelites are about to enter the land and occupy the promised land. But they're getting this call to remember and a call to obey is basically it's the title of the chapter. But chapter 8 basically it talks about be careful to obey all the commands I am giving you today. Uh, which I find very significant because it's calling them to remember. It's calling the people to basically recall before God gives them a blessing. And I feel like Christmas is like that. It is a call to remember where we came from, and then the blessing is Jesus Christ. We remember all the gifts we had this year. I mean, you're getting closer to New Year's, and then Christmas is a celebration of Jesus coming, and he's the hope of the future. He is the hope of the world. There's a verse in here that I really wanted to focus on, and it talks about so as it goes down in the chapter, it talks about what the promised land is going to look like and what it's going to be like when they enter the land as long as they obey the commands and the promises of God. Well, you don't have to obey the promise, but obey what the regulations basically that God is putting forth. And verse 11 says, but that is the time to be careful. It's something my grandma always used to say. When you're going through a blessing, don't forget the past and be prepared for the next storm coming. She always said that to me, kind of like how Elijah was in the cave and remembering the storm and what happened, getting prepared for that beforehand. That's a different message, but yeah. Beware that in your plenty you do not forget your God and disobey his commands and regulations and laws. For when you have become full and prosperous and have built fine homes to live in, and when your flocks and herds have become very large and your silver and gold have multiplied along with everything else, that is the time to be careful. Do not become proud at that time or forget the Lord your God, who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. I don't know why this struck me so hard. I mean, when you go through the whole Old Testament, it literally talks about do not forget. Do not forget. Exodus, pretty much, is when they escaped Egypt. And isn't that so easy for us to forget? We'll be at Christmas and we have all this new stuff around us, or we have all these new things, or, we want to make it bigger than better than last year. But isn't it so easy for us to forget the blessings of this year? It really is. We sit and focus on the negative things of life and the things that have happened this year. And don't get me wrong, this year has been a hard year. But there's so much we have to be thankful for. There's so much we have to be expectant upon for the new year, too. But I guess as we go into this season, what I really wanted us to think about is, what are we blessed with this year? The wise men, when they followed the star to go find Jesus, they brought him gifts. They brought him blessings. What are we bringing to Jesus that we are thankful for because of him? What are we bringing? I mean, what are we really making this season about? Truly, I mean, I work in a commercialized world. We all do. But I work in a very, um, I don't, busy, I guess, job. And it is easy to forget. It's easy to get annoyed very quickly with this whole season and everybody's, demanding and all of this stuff and when we run out of something or whatever it is. But really, what are we thankful for? I'm thankful I come home to my home safely every day. I can freely hold this Bible in my hand and not be afraid to be executed for it. Um, my family is safe. I have enough food in my kitchen. I have a nice warm house. I mean, there are so many little things of being thankful for. And I know this sounds trivial and cliche, and we always say be thankful. But what are we thinking about when it comes to Christmas? Christ multiplied. That's kind of what Christmas is. And when you get down here, it says, "Don't forget that he led you through the great, terrifying wilderness." I'm in verse 15. With the poisonous snakes and the scorpions, where it was so hot and dry. What did God lead you through this year? What did he lead you through? I'm hoping he led you through some very dark places. But if you didn't go through them with God, how do you think you're still here? What what do you think got you through it? Truly, because we can't do anything in our own strength. When we try to do something in our own strength, it does not work out. Whether it's today or whether it's 20 years from now, it doesn't work. And if you think it does, I'm so sorry that you're that mistaken. And I know that sounds really bold the way I just said that, but it's true. You get down here and he fed you manna in the wilderness, a food unknown to your ancestors. He did this to humble you and test you for your own good. What kind a parent, as you go up here, it's this great illustration of, for all these 40 years, your clothes didn't wear out. Okay, think about a little kid and a parent. For all these years, your clothes didn't wear out. You didn't have blisters on your feet. They didn't swell, which is what he's talking about, leading them for 40 years in the desert, in the wilderness. So you should realize that just as a parent disciplines a child, now I get there are different parents and some parents struggle in different ways. I get that. But go with me on that way you think in your brain a parent should be with a child. The Lord your God disciplines you to help you. The Lord does things in life to help you. He's not against you. He is for you. And then as I go back down to where I was reading previously in verse 17, he did it so you would never think that it was your own strength and energy that made you wealthy. Where you are today is maybe you did it in your own strength. Maybe you're not a believer. And maybe you did get to where you are and you are very successful by the world standards. But there's still, whether you want to admit it or not, you don't have to admit it to me. Obviously, this isn't live. But there is something missing. There's an empty piece inside. Believe me, I know. And as you get down, it goes, always remember that it is the Lord your God who gives you the power to become rich. That word rich can be translated into like blessing or full or abundant. So what you abundantly have, it doesn't have to be money. I mean, the Israelites did not have a lot of money at this point. And he does it to fulfill a covenant he made with your ancestors. When you think about that, God has a plan. I'm so passionate about generational faith because it does trickle down. Whether it's sin or faith, it comes down. And understanding that you are abundantly blessed because of Jesus Christ, that changes the game. So I want to do the short little video, the short little charge, just to kind of explain, I think, where my heart's going to be for Advent and what I'm going to talk about this month. But just remember, Remember where you came from. Remember what brought you here and what are you thankful for? What gifts can you bring to Jesus to say, Lord, I am so thankful you blessed me with this. What are you going to do this next year and how can I honor you for that? Have a great week and I'll see you next time.